The sponsor of this episode is Chadwell Supply, an OG in the multifamily industry. Chadwell is the largest privately owned maintenance and repair supplier, and they deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. To find out how Chadwell Supply will make your day better, visit w.chadwellsupply.com/difference. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Maintenance Mindset. I'm your host, Paul Rhodes, and I'm joined today on this special edition with members of the fantastic team over at Chadwell Supply. With us is Matt Trotter and John Daniell. Now, Matt is the Director of Education for Chadwell Supply, and he and his team gets to go around the country and also virtually providing educational assistance for maintenance teams and properties focusing on site on the job that our maintenance teams do on a regular basis. John is actually the Executive Vice President of Sales and a guy that I have had the personal experience of being a direct customer, to where in a previous life, he and I worked together to form a strategy where Chadwell was my primary vendor that I bought from when I was the director of maintenance. John and Matt, it's great to see you guys again.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you letting us come on here and honestly just catch up with you.
It's great to see you, Paul. It has been a minute, but I always enjoyed working with you, so looking forward to this opportunity as well.
Yeah, it's really good to see you again. Matt, the really cool thing is I got to meet Matt here recently doing some research for an episode of the Maintenance Mindset about A2Ls and kind of laying out an expectation of next year. Matt, tell me a little bit about that and what Chadwell Supply is doing for A2L, which is refrigerant information.
Well, I mean, you want me to tell you about when you came on and I noticed you were on my webinar, my live webinar, and you were firing off questions at me left and right? You want me to talk about that part of it or just the overall?
Come on, Matt. You know, I'm very, very quiet and shy, and I don't ask any challenging questions whatsoever.
You know, it's hard enough to navigate the webinar scene, and then you get a question this long that I got to. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just. Almost done. Just a second. All right. From great. Good question, Paul. Actually, it was great. It was great having you. You asked some great questions that helped me segue into a lot of great topics because A2L is a big deal this year and next. And honestly, for the next 5 years, it's going to be a big deal for us. So what we're doing at Chadwell is A2L is the best kept secret going on right now. I mean, it started back in 2020, but everywhere I go to, it is a surprise to our supervisors and our management companies out there that are just like, when was this happening? So our whole goal is educate, educate, educate. And we're doing free webinars all month long. Our next one is in July 18th, I believe. And it's just sign up. You can get there through chadwellsupply.com. But it's all about here's what the gas is. Here's how you can trust it. Here's what's happening. Here's the transition piece. We'll always have it for service. We are going to have new equipment. There's no drop-ins. All those questions are answered in the webinar. And we have a little test at the end. It's open notes. What we really want to do is get you a certificate so that hopefully if there's any additional certifications, you'll be grandfathered in. That's our main goal for our customers. John, how is like your sales team has been through it, the whole group? How has, after we get done with it, what do they talk about?
Well, first off, there's a sigh of relief because there's so many questions, and we go down this road every so often, whether it's with equipment and SEER improvements or refrigerant changes. And the one thing in the beginning of it all is there's a lot of information, and unfortunately, not all of it is accurate. Not all of it is applicable. So it's just tremendous to have someone like Matt here with Chadwell Supply and our complete education team, Chadwell University, because it's the right information. It's pertinent. It's up to date. It's presented in a way that it can be absorbed and be utilized. And so we're just very fortunate to have that internal expertise so that we can absorb it and then take it out into the field at the community level and start sharing it with our customers.
One of the things I really appreciated about that webinar and getting you on there with my rather long encyclopedic questions that I was asking was the answers that you gave, Matt, were realistic. It wasn't just the fact that you were reading from a book. What is your background that lets you talk about it in a real world way as opposed to a lecturer, a professor of education that has never been in a hot attic before? What do you bring to the educational world from an experience way?
Absolutely. I mean, besides, of course, rugged good looks and amazing hair, outside of that, I actually have over 25 years of experience in HVAC, and I love HVAC. It's been my trade forever. It's provided for my family. It's something that I really just dove into right away. And honestly, to really get to where you need to go in HVAC, you got to be well read. You have to dig into the theories, and you need to have experience. Coming out of trade school, I was a union pipe fitter up in the city of Chicago, local 597. And surely after
A little
that,
bit of work there. Small, teeny tiny amount of work there.
just a little bit. So commercial refrigeration, rooftops, package units, and then I moved into chillers and did skyscrapers, went down to Tampa, lived there for a long time, worked on all sorts of equipment. And then I went into education because I started to love teaching guys in the field. And that got me to work with manufacturers where I actually did a ton of residential. It was all residential up to 5 tons, teaching for installation, how to size your product, what a matchup looks like, what it looks like, and then job site visits. I was out in the field constantly working and training thousands of contractors and technicians out there in the field, just helping them understand the product better and what to do. And I've lived through 3 transitions now. Yeah, 12 to 134A, 22 to 410A, and now this newer transition coming up. So when you see this coming, my experience has always been you need to get educated on the right stuff because there's so much fear mongering going on. They're like, hey, use this. This is going to happen. Move away. And honestly, unfortunately, it comes from everywhere. It comes from product. It comes from contractors. It comes from different areas, agencies. You don't know what's what. So you got to read through it, dig through the lines, see what's real, and then get good information out to our customers. And that's the main goal.
That's actually one of the things I really appreciate about Chadwell Supply in your education department is you're not just taking salespeople that are really good at talking and say, hey, why don't you get up in front of a group of maintenance technicians and tell them stuff? I mean, my best friend is one of your instructors, and I know he's got massive amounts of history behind him. So you're not just looking at things from a sales or a marketing piece. It's truly an educational opportunity.
Absolutely. Actually, John and I, we've talked about this before, and it's something that needs to be separated. It's where, yes, we sell products. That's what we do. We get out there and we want our customers to buy from us. That's the whole goal. But we want them to buy because we have our reps in the field are phenomenal and have great relationships with them. And not just that, we have a separate department that handles education, service, technical help. It's separated so that you're not just constantly getting one flavor all the time. You have a department that is truly set apart, that is focused on just customer service, just giving you that extra value add for what you purchase.
And Paul, let me just piggyback on Matt's statement there. And his answer on the last question, you can see why we're so excited to have him, because he truly understands the environment that we're in. He understands the complexity, the volatility sometimes, and we're in a highly segmented industry, and there's a lot of transaction. Investors, they're moving properties, with properties move people, and so just having that understanding of our audience and asking the hard questions about, what is the need? Where's the area of concentration that you'd like us to help with? Because that workforce shortage is real. I mean, we know it, it's real, and it's not going away. So we have to think progressively in how we can be a resource for our customers and how we can get involved and get engaged in knowledge, because knowledge is power. It brings confidence, it brings clarity, it brings efficiency, and through all of that, you're going to find that you're going to be able to retain your associates. So we see that, we understand that, and we live that in our organization. Our attrition within our sales force is low single digits. And some folks will say, well, is that healthy or not? And I will say it's absolutely healthy, because the culture that we drive, the culture that we live within the organization, we present that out through our actions and through our knowledge to our customers. So, we don't expect every one of our sales team members to be experts, although many of them are, because they came from the field,
Right.
and so which is always helpful. But we do expect them to invest in the information, invest in education, because it creates that value add out there that can't be compromised.
Yeah, and truly, like, that's actually so ingrained that it's one of our core values. Like, one of our knowledgeable. Like, that is actually a core value that is just talked about and spoken about throughout the organization, throughout Chadwell. It's really important, because if you don't know what you're doing or what you're selling, everybody sees right through that. It's instant. They know exactly. You have no clue, do you? And we never want to be guilty of that.
Yeah, when I was on site, I can remember when the sales rep would come around and I'd ask him a question of, hey, this part really didn't work like I thought it would. Do you have another option? And my entire countenance and spirit and happiness and strength would drop when the only answer they had was, well, what page was that on in the catalog? And we'll take a look at that. And they just sit there and flip the catalog. And that was it. It was at that point, as a customer, I would just say, you know what? Never mind. I will go to the sticks and bricks store and find an option.
We're going back to the old days with the paper catalogs, right?
Yes.
We produce a paper catalog along with our online, so we feel the customer's pain a little bit. Some of the old timers that love the paper catalog, but you always know when they go this direction for about 10 seconds, this direction, and it's back and forth, and it's like a yo-yo, right? And you're going, we may have a problem here, but
something to be said. Like, we're out training. Like you said, Mark works with us. He's phenomenal out there in Texas. Randy's out there. He's a veteran with us. Van comes and helps out still a lot for CPO. And then we got Michael out in Phoenix. He's one of our other trainers. And then I travel too. So we're out there all the time. But one thing that we're actually very focused on, and that John and his team, the entire team, national accounts, everybody, they call me up and they say, Matt, we want training for our sales team. So not only do we go out and train customers, that I have delivered 4 or 5 of our actual sales teams, getting them up to speed. So I really want some feedback. When you're out in their field and you ask them a question, I've given them answers. So I want to know if they read the stuff I gave them.
Are they paying attention?
I need to know.
I do think you did bring up something, John, when you were talking about the very low employee turnover rate in Chadwell. I think that's a piece that maybe our industry is not paying enough attention to at the site level, at the property level. I mean, we just, after all the recent events that everybody continually talks about, we ended up going through the fact that a lot of properties now, 9 months later, have completely different teams that are working there at that property. And you've got that turnover hamster wheel that we're losing. The property loses all legacy knowledge of knowing behind that particular wall, there's that third light switch over that controls this amenity, but the second light switch controls that amenity over there, that you only know by working in a community for a while. And the fact that Chadwell Supply has such a low turnover rate from a sales team, that's huge.
It is a tremendous advantage. And let's be real, shopping carts are wonderful and online, and they create, historic purchases and precedent and really assist in the purchasing. But you're absolutely right, Paul. I mean, there are so many nuances on a property, especially one that may be, 25, 30 years old. There's 5 different plumbing fixtures. There's 6 different HVAC system brands. There's all sorts of diversity in that product. And we've got reps. I mean, we've got, a couple of reps that have been on the road in the same areas for 40 years.
Yeah.
And we have, our average tenure for our sales personnel is, 13 to 15 years. And
Wow.
so the knowledge, the individual property knowledge that's there in terms of, hey, what's this component for this unit? Or, what are these plumbing stems or cartridges and whatnot? I mean, when someone new comes out on a property, I mean, it's an encyclopedia. They can be that encyclopedia type to say, listen, I know what you need. I know that product. I know, and this is what happens. And it's just it's kind of this a secondary and sometimes primary benefit early on to say, listen, just send me that part you sent me last time. Okay. And it's here. It's not something, you don't have to go to that catalog page.
Absolutely. I was a technician for many years, and whenever a larger property would change hands, they would always interview the former contractor that would be there. And so they'd always come and they want to meet. So we go in and say, hi, I don't have a contract with you. I've been at this property for 8 years. What do you want to know about it? And that's kind of the same deal, because I showed up in Phoenix one time and a property had just rotated everybody. So it changed hands. I'm with the sales guy. We're just meeting customers. And he's like, they're all gone. He calls them up like, oh no, I'm over here now. They're over here. They're over this. They're like, I've been at this property for 6 years. So then he goes in and meets them and talks with the new management. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? We're looking to do this, this, and this. Like, they've never bought any of that here. What they have here is they have this, 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 and this. What we usually do is have these products, these parts, and this, what you have. Do you want to do a whole change, or do you want to fix what you have? Because he knew the property so well. It's like, that was amazing. All of a sudden, that manager just elevated, because now they have somebody that knows the property. The supervisor now has somebody they can call on who's still their rep, but can answer what they used to do and give them some guidance in that. Is really an amazing. It's a great advantage to have.
So then what would you tell customers or potential customers about getting access to that both legacy knowledge of having a long tenured sales force that ties to education or the educational piece? How does that work within Chadwell to where you integrate it? Or are they, like in my experience, 2 separate entities that really don't ever talk or don't really mesh well? If I'm your customer, how do I gain access to all of that institutional knowledge?
Well,
The first thing, okay, this is old school, but old school is always the best. First off, you ask questions to your customer, right? You ask them, what is their knowledge currently, right? What is their background? What is their history? What are the challenges that they're having currently? And because the main thing in our business, in the supply business, and really any business where you're supplying product or service to a customer, is fulfilling a need, right? Fulfilling a need. And if I assume that I know the need, or I don't ask those particular questions and seek out a better understanding of what a customer is going through and what their day-to-day is, then I'm probably going to miss the mark. And so we simply start with just understanding, what brought them to this point, what are the factors that are involved, and then through that, if I have experience, I have knowledge on that particular property, then I can start making recommendations, and I can start leading them down a path that's going to provide the resolution that they're looking for. But we're here to fulfill a need. We're not here to drive our initiative or our expectation on a customer. There's a term I like to always use, and that term is nimble. And we need to be nimble in our thought. We need to be nimble in our execution and meet the customer on their terms, right? Because they're not all just technology savvy. They're not all have a great understanding of what their job role is or what they're there to do. And so we're there to assist and to advocate. And everything else pretty much takes care of itself after that, Paul.
Absolutely. You don't know what you don't know, right? You go in there, you want to always ask questions, and we're definitely inspired to do that so that we can get to know our customer. And the only real way, not the only way, but the way that you're going to find the best and easiest transition to get to the education of what you need is through the Chadwell representative. They are the gatekeeper. They can request anything they want from Chadwell and my team. We obviously we're very busy. We have a lot of locations. We already have a lot of training out in the area. And if you want access to those, our sales rep is going to have those conversations and say, what education piece do you need? Do you need EPA? Do you need your CPO? Do you want appliances? Do you want LVE training, HVAC training, A2L training? And they're going to guide them through that because they are the tip of the spear. They're right out there, and they're there to help and fill those needs and figure out what it is they can do to truly just help you with your day-to-day.
That actually, I do have really fond memories of remembering solving problems with Chadwell Supply, and the fact that I like, John, that you started that with old school is the best school, and all the gray hairs that are here. I mean, yes, we have all of these massive technological breakthroughs on texting or emailing or chat bots or all of these things. But when I was a customer at Chadwell, all of those were available to me. But the best source of information of the fastest amount of something I do remember that Chadwell Supply always focused on was time savings, was talking directly to the sales rep that was ready and available. My sales account manager, they were there for the other end of a phone call as opposed to only being available on the other end of a keyboard or a mobile device.
Chadwell Supply is the proud sponsor of the Multifamily Media Network. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned MRO supply company and is committed to the multifamily industry. They deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. Chadwell Supply offers valuable resources such as maintenance training, a dedicated renovations team, and procurement platform assistance, ensuring multifamily properties operate more efficiently. Partnering with Chadwell Supply helps you stand out in an increasingly competitive market. Learn more at chadwellsupply.com/difference.
We're looking for the blend, Paul. I mean, the technology is fascinating, it's phenomenal, and it is very useful in everything that we do, not only in our business life but our personal. But we can become a slave to it. I'll be honest, that's just me talking, and it's only the information that goes into a machine. It's only as good as what's entered, right? It's only can provide you that particular information. There's no human element. There's no passion for the business. There's no experience, right? Personal experience. So we gotta have blend. And with Chadwell, the culture that we're building and the expertise that we aspire to continue to have and to even increase, it's a value add to that technology. And in some cases, it's the only solution that you can have is to have that individual experience of someone that's gone through a particular situation, either with a customer or on their own, and that knowledge is shared and it's powerful. And so there is a perfect weight to both technology and personal experience, and we're not willing to sacrifice either one of them.
Now, one of our things that our other values is like being innovative. And that is truly taking what you have around you, the resources, whether it be technology, AI, our websites, product knowledge page, just all this information and using it. If technology is just there for show, it's no value whatsoever. That personal touch, that representative behind it has to bring it to you as the best way to do it. I mean, think about it, Paul. How many different terms are there for a different product or a different valve, or like just that alone? I mean, what you type in determines on what you get back out. I teach classes and I tell people it's like you can call it temperature difference, delta T, delta split. Like all those terms mean the same thing. It's like you have many different phrases for one thing, and having that rep there is key to that, and really knowing how to transition, because we were just talking about it before we got on this podcast, that we're going to have a really interesting transition coming at the end of 2024, 2025.
Yes. Yeah. And you guys, with that legacy knowledge, you can speak thingamabob and what's it to ensure that the who's-majigger doesn't get put with the Canuter widget.
We built our careers on thingamabobs and what you call. What are you talking about?
That's exactly it. So you spoke a second ago about innovation. From an educational standpoint, what is the innovation or innovative advancement that, Matt, your educational stuff is going through, your classes or courses? In addition to the free webinars you guys are offering, what else are you doing?
Well, 90% of our training is in person, and that is a trade standard. Okay, that's
awesome.
I'm never going to get off of that. That is where we're going to be at. And the reason why I say in person is truly the best is because we're talking about not just take this, install here, tighten nut, and you're done. That is not really what education is about. Education is teaching you how to take any device, any fixture, any piece, and knowing there's these components to it. And now I can work and build out any of them. This one training, this one education helps me to get and do all these different things at the same time. That's the education we're looking for. So what we're doing is we're combining not just the in-person, but we're trying to combine that with a lot of video knowledge that we're putting together. We're producing our own videos about how to and service tips and tricks. We're doing advanced animations to help give a conceptual idea.
Ooh.
I was talking about this the other day. We're in a class, and I always ask, "Hey, who here in the class? Who's a daydreamer?" And everybody was like, "No, seriously, it's a good thing. Who's a daydreamer?" I was like, "I was a daydreamer. Okay, I was that guy." I was like, "Who's got a great imagination? Who still watches cartoons? Who loves sci-fi?" Just asking the whole group, the whole thing. And everyone starts raising their hand. I look at them, and they're like looking at me kind of funny. I go, "You're gonna do amazing. It's like you're going to do phenomenal in this trade. You want to know about air conditioning? You're going to excel at air conditioning, because you have to picture in your mind what's being told to you through numbers. It's like you're going to do great. So lean on that. Use your imagination." And then we start going through the class. It is such a big deal. So if I can paint some pictures and we can do more animations and more videos and more things that help them grasp the concepts, they're going to do phenomenal, and the education is just going to stick that much better. And the other thing is we're going to add more hands-on. It's not easy. We travel to multiple cities throughout. We've got appliance right now that's hands-on, because we have sponsors for that. We have sponsors like Whirlpool and GE. They help us and give us products. And we actually have classes. These, as Randy calls them, are dead bodies. We can just take them apart and put them back together. It's not a great term, but we're workshopping that one.
I was really wondering, how in the world are you going to get a refrigerator through TSA? That's what I want to know.
So they're not at every branch, but they're at multiple branches right now, and we're really close to having all branches. So you can come to our branch, and we will take you through 5 different appliances and tear them apart and put them back together. And next up, we have our LVE. It's sponsored by Honeywell, and it's a low voltage class where we literally build out an air conditioner and the heating side, and we go through sequence of operation with your meter. And we take them, and you get to learn skill sets of using your tools, the sequence of operation, how to wire it, and a schematic mindset is a really big deal. And we're going to build on that. I'm going to add in more classes that are that style of building out boards and working in the future here, hopefully the end of 2024 and definitely in 2025. So that's where we're headed with the education side.
That's really cool. And what I like about it, just to reinforce, is that you started off by talking about using animations, and you even incorporated the fact that daydream and thought and being able to picture things in your brain and then add that to the hands-on, the tactile experience. Because you and I both know if I add refrigerant to an air conditioning system, one, refrigerant itself is invisible. You can see the cloud, but if you see the cloud, you made a mistake. So when you
Terribly wrong.
terribly wrong. But when I put it into a system, I can't see it physically. But it actually helps to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. If in my brain I can run a cartoon or a simulation or get an idea of the refrigerant juice that goes around the inside, and
There's vapor.
yes,
I can see this temperature. These two are getting real close together. Uh-oh, that's a problem. You need to go further apart.
that's it. And the ability to do that from an educational standpoint, the ability to have the physical put together with the conceptual, that is a real critical key. Tying that with what we had talked about prior of the fact that this is not a sales pitch, it's not a marketing piece directly. I mean, you don't give out prices and part numbers and all of that stuff in your educational classes. But of course, the goal is you got to keep the lights on somehow. Of course, there will want to be a tie-in for people to, if they're not already, to become Chadwell Supply customers.
Well, actually, one of our classes that we do, I actually have part numbers up there because it's the introduction to HVAC, and nobody knows what parts are. And so we're put them all out there, and I have part numbers with them, and that is the one time I see them taking more notes than anything else. They literally write down the part numbers because then it makes it easier to order. And I'm like, I didn't see that coming. So it's like we work through a catalog. That's we have a part number associated with a name. So having the part number is very important. So I added that into it, and everyone says thank you. Thanks for giving me our part numbers. I mean, there's no prices or anything with it, but at least they know where to go find it now on Chadwell Supply.
I mean, well, I got to interject just a minute because I think by now the audience probably sees this gentleman's passion when it comes to training and education, and that is replicated with our company as a whole, and right from our partners on down through our leadership team and all of our sales associates, because this is not a profit center for Chadwell Supply. It is a tremendous amount of cost in the travel and the logistics and just maintaining that schedule. And it's literally somebody is in various markets every single day of the week. So it is it's something that we know we have to be passionate about. We know we have to strive for excellence, and you can see with the quality of some of this content that we're there, and we're not satisfied, but we're there with it. And it's very important to us to support our customers in such a unique and in such a direct manner, because I mean, these are hard times, right, in our industry when it comes to some of the workforce issues and just all the changes, because change in itself is difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Change is not always received very well, with a number of folks but this business, this industry, and in this way, HVAC, it's going to always change. Nothing gets me more excited. And I've gotten several texts, and just in the last month or two, after these sessions, they send me a text or they send me a note or a call and say, wow, I had no idea that you guys were presenting that type of and that level of education. And, obviously they want more, which is great. It's job security for this guy, by the way.
That's right.
But it is. We feel like we're on the right track, and we're absolutely excited about what we can do through our education and throughout our sales force as a result of training.
Well, that is fantastic. And from creating or being a part of an educational group myself, I know that just creating education is not a cheap endeavor. It's not something that you can just, here's $1, go give me everything in the world, and don't forget to bring me the change. That doesn't happen. But so we kind of started out today talking about refrigerant and refrigeration, and we've covered a whole bunch of ground and what Chadwell Supply offers, but there's one kind of hanging topic, and Matt, you alluded to it earlier, of the change that's coming. Talk a little bit about what is happening in the environment, in the market, particularly with the end of 2024 and 2020, and why our industry really has got to be aware of it.
So this is we've come to a pinnacle right now, and it all started in 2020, where efficiencies and refrigerant changes and a lot of things got signed into the AIM Act, and all these changes are actually coming to a head this year. So with that, A2Ls, they're on their way. What's going to happen is the end of this year, manufacturers will stop making R410A products. The actual piece of equipment itself, they will not be allowed to make it in 2025. So they have to stop, which means they're not going to stop at the very December 31st, 2024. They're going to transition before that, so they have product available in 2025. What does that mean for us? Right now, our manufacturers, our partners, are manufacturing as much 410A equipment as they possibly can, and we're trying to buy as much as they'll give us. Like we're stockpiling. We're saying, I'll take 2. Nah, give me 5. Give me more. It's like, and next week, give me the same amount. We're trying to stockpile as much 410A equipment as we can, because moving forward, the refrigerant is going to eventually become more expensive. It just is. 410A has been reduced by 40%. All the drop-ins for R22, they've been reduced by 40% or more, and it's all going up. Also,
40% production, not 40% cost. Production.
We will not have the same amounts. We will have less of that gas itself. And what's going to take place is we will have 410A gas for service for the next 30 years. The gas isn't going away. It's just going to be phasing down in the production of it. Now, R22 drop-ins, those are going to reduce a lot, and they'll be around, but they're going to be quite expensive. And R22 products, Paul, they're not actually going to be supported anymore. They haven't had to support them in XO for about 10 years. They haven't made one since 2010. And everyone's been hanging on to those 22 products. The EPA's thought is, you've had 20 years to move away from that. We've given you more than enough time. So what's happening here in the next year and 6 months is the most aggressive transition we've ever seen, moving away from 410A and moving to our new refrigerants, R32 and R454B. So here's where the rubber meets the road, I guess.
Yeah.
We're purchasing all 410 that we can this year. By the end of next year, December 31st, 2025, that's 1 year and 6 months away. That's the last date you're allowed to install a 410A piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So it puts us in a tight window.
Very tight, especially for equipment that the refrigerant R32 and R454B today, which we're recording this mid-June of 2024, today, those two refrigerants are not widespread for the apartment industry at all. They're not around.
In play right now.
No.
At all.
So, and it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, our manufacturers will actually begin stopping to produce 410A systems within the next few months so they can change over their production lines, right?
Next 4 months, yeah. They will stop because they need to have a product ready for 2025.
Yeah.
But when you transition a line, you don't just start 1.5 ton and work your way up. You pick the line that is sold the most. That makes good sense, right, for our vendors. So they're going to be starting with a 3-ton heat pump, and then they're going to move to 3.5 ton. Now, Paul, how many 3-ton heat pumps did you buy when you in your lifetime for that?
2.
Two
one was for the clubhouse. The other one was for a massive fitness center. Otherwise, yeah, everything our typical apartments buy, if you're talking split systems, what between 1 and really Two,
2.5.
2.5 ton is about the sweet spot.
It's our bulk. So, and they're not all heat pumps, right? They buy straight cools.
Yeah.
It's buy all straight cool. So this is where we're really trying to support our customers. We put together a refrigerant checklist. It's a sheet you can find on chadwellsupply.com under the product knowledge page. And we're trying to distribute it to all of our sales teams so they can get it out there. It's just an inventory sheet of your equipment. You've got 200 units on property, unit number 105, model number, serial number, air handler, condenser, refrigerant type, and I made a scale that gives you a reliability scale, 1 through 5. You just pick it. If it's a 1 or a 2, you want to replace it in the next 2 years. If it's a 3 or greater, you're going to be able to make it through the transition and get to see what pricing looks like on the other side, get to see what the new equipment looks like, and it can hold out. The one thing that managers have to have, and I don't know if, I never thought about this when I was a tech, and I don't know if our maintenance technicians out there are thinking about this either. They need viable data. They need actual tangible data. Like if they go and say, hey, we got to replace all of our equipment, they look at you like, you kidding me? We can't do that. But if you go and say, I need 8. I want 8 new pieces of equipment for 2025. Totally doable. We can budget that. We can make that happen. Let's do that. That is the best way to get rid of those units you know are bad. The lemons, the ones that you've been fighting with forever. It's time. It's time to get away from them. And if you've got some R22 stuff still out there, really start to chop away at that. That's going to hurt you if you keep just doing, it dies, I replace it. If you just, one dies and you replace, you do that mentality. Next year, first, second quarter, we're just going to sell out everything. I mean, all of our customers, once we have it, after the first of the year, we can't buy any more 410A.
That's right. When it's gone, it's gone.
When it's gone, it's gone. And we want
to be in the back of the line.
We want our customers to be proactive and get what they need to help themselves through that first, second quarter before the product line is completely full.
Wow. Well, it's exciting that you guys have come up with a way to quantify values of apartment systems, the systems that are in apartments, so that you could go for, if I have 100 apartments, I can know that 13% of those systems are valued 1s and 2s. And putting a hard start on those systems does not raise the value from 1 to 2 to 4 or 5. It is what it is. And that way you can go into a budgeting season like what we're about to approach with at least a strategy, and an educated strategy that everyone can begin to make those decisions going forward. That's exciting.
And something else, so we always look at equipment in different lenses. We look at it from a service standpoint of, okay, I can fix this really easy, so I like this unit. It's just, I know how to fix it every time. Yes, I have to fix it multiple times a year, but I know how to fix it and get it up and running. That's one aspect. Another one is, how well does it perform? What's the amperage draw? What is the efficiency of it? Putting a hard start kit on it, getting it running smoother. Yes, that's an opportunity too. But what we're really looking for in this transition is, I want them to step back and kind of clear their eyes and look at that piece of equipment as if, do I want this thing to be around in the next 5 years? Looking at the coil specifically, you go to look at the evaporator coil. If you can see copper tubing, it's time to go. It's like the deterioration of the evaporator, big deal, because our new refrigerants are mildly flammable, and we're going to have sensors at the indoors that are going to be monitoring that. So that evaporator coil is a really big deal. Time to take a look at it, see if it needs to be replaced, and getting the full system look. Look at the integrity of it. Are there multiple leaks? If you repair one leak, a lot of times it just moves down the line as it goes. So either you repaired them all or you're waiting for the next one to pop. You need to look at it with those eyes and then make that decision. And honestly, don't want not my biggest fear, but it breaks my heart when a customer shows up and says, I had no idea. And we're the middle of, second quarter of next year, and they say, I need this equipment because we can't get compressors anymore, and I have to move to new equipment, and we don't have the tonnage available. That's something I hate because I don't have a solution for that.
Right.
And that's where planning really comes into play. So we just, I'm a father. I've got kids, and I always tell them, they're like, "Hey, let's be proactive." I've said this 4 or 5 times. Just listen, just take our word for it, and be prepared for this next. Be prepared at the end of this year. It's so important.
And I'm assuming that you guys will continue to add resources to chadwellsupply.com, where that grading sheet you said, what was the name of that?
It's refrigerant checklist is what it is.
Refrigerant checklist.
Like an equipment checklist, what it is actually stated. Yeah.
Okay, equipment checklist, and like I was saying, I assume all of the resources that you guys continue to add will be found there at chadwellsupply.com.
So actually, in that, you go to chadwellsupply.com. You don't even have to log in. So you slide over to the resource center, and you go to product knowledge page. Everything we sell, we take all the knowledge of that product and put it in that section. There is countless documents, videos, stuff that we've created, animations of everything that we sell. It is the best kept secrets
This is just us. It's only for us. We're not going to talk to this about anybody.
Oh, listen, don't tell anybody. Just between me and you. You're good, right? Because if I tell you not to tell anybody, we're fine.
We're
sure.
Good.
But that's kept secret. Product knowledge page at Chadwell Supply.
That's it. Yeah. Well, Matt and John, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Is there anything before we close out that you want the audience to know about Chadwell Supply that we haven't covered?
Well, I would say, number one, I mean, I've been here since 2009. This is my 37th year in the industry.
You started when you were 3, right?
Well, I would like to have said that, but I'll leave that up for guesswork. But it's been a long, long time. And I would just say that Chadwell Supply has grown phenomenally over the years. The last 2 years, it's been transformational growth. I mean, the market and the things were good. Life was good in multifamily, right? It's always good in multifamily, but especially when the cap rates and interest rates are inviting for transaction and such. But we had no idea that Chadwell was going to move in such a way throughout the market space. And so we're first off, very thankful to our customers and those that we enjoy working with now and those that we're going to be working with in the very, very, very near future. It's just a blessing and a privilege to be in this business, to come on in a setting like this and have a conversation with you and be able to share some of our insight, and you share yours as well. We hope it's been very beneficial, and we just look forward to the days, because it's going to be a little rocky, but we do this together. We got it. No worries.
Absolutely. I mean, I really couldn't say anything more than that. And if you haven't given Chadwell Supply a try, and you need some customer testimonials, or you want to talk to other customers to feel us out, some of the biggest topics we have are our fill rates are phenomenal. We're there to help through renovations, across the board. So when we do have big changes, that we're across the board on our fill rates of all of it. And if you're in the industry, that's an amazing thing to have, to actually be able to fulfill those products. And honestly, we love what we do. We're passionate about it. It's that way through the entire company.
Well, thanks again for spending time with me, and I've learned a lot in our conversation, and I look forward to seeing you guys at conferences or at places around the country, and hopefully sometime we'll be able to share a stage and do some educational stuff, which would be an absolute blast. We can make fun of my hair next time.
Absolutely. Flip it one time for me.
Exactly right.
It'd be nice to be on the stage with you instead of you just jumping into my DMs. And
yeah. Although, wait a second, that might be an opportunity for payback. I'm not sure that I'm going to go with that. Really,
it's going to be great.
Well, thank you, audience, for joining us today, and have a fantastic rest of the week. And I'll see you somewhere.